Love it, like the dress. It's like,
Yeah.
Quite short.
she's got her legs out.
Yeah.
There's a bit of ruching.
And she's got her wrists like that, but she's holding a helmet just to like feel her fantasy.
Butch Queen.
Yes, first time in drags.
And look at the positioning of the gun.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm Munroe Bergdorf. I'm an activist and I identify as a trans woman.
My name's Kalyan and I identify as he, him. I am a singer-songwriter and a producer.
I'm Sasha Velour, and I am a gender-fluid performance artist and drag queen.
So Munroe's painting is over here.
Oh, there it is. The piece of art that I've chosen is The Renaissance of Venus by Walter Crane. I chose this art piece because it depicts Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, and it really interests me why I am so drawn to this. Why has this made such an impact on me as a woman that lives in the West?
Venus is a figure of earthly beauty, arousing kind of physical ideas of desire and beauty, but also of otherworldly beauty. And that idea of otherworldly beauty was supposedly in a kind of Victorian situation to excuse the fact that there were naked ladies everywhere.
Being trans, there's such an urgency to beauty. Beauty keeps us safe. It allows us to go through society being, left alone. In the back of my head, I've always thought, okay, that's the goddess of love. This is what society sees as the most beautiful. For me personally, it just feels very much through the male lens.
Yeah.
The fact that she's completely hairless.
Yeah.
Very, very, very pale, very, very, very blonde, and that is the closeness to godliness. Not a lot has really changed when it comes to, how men view women in terms of infantizing, in terms of objectifying.
And how women view themselves.
The things that seem like maybe natural preferences or tastes to people are actually like ingrained everywhere you look through hundreds of years, created and reinforced.
There is something very violent and something very gruesome, but also something innately human about these three figures. I think it's extremely powerful and kind of unsettling. I think it says something about the human experience.
Francis Bacon had his fair share of difficulty in his life and was thrown out of the house by his father when he discovered him dressing up in his mother's underwear. There are stories about his father having him horsewhipped. There's a lot of torture in his soul.
I first saw the painting as a kid. I didn't know that he was a queer artist. Living at a time where it was illegal to be gay, and myself being someone who is from a Muslim background, we experience the world right now as people who are on the outside of the outside. The fact that all three of them are on plinths is that his torture and his pain is on display, but he can't really necessarily talk about it. He's blindfolded, he's shamed, he's screaming. As someone who comes from a culture where it's very taboo to be queer, it's a pretty terrifying thing. It's not pleasant to see, but it's something that we shouldn't look away from. And that's what I think the power of this painting truly is, because it's scary and it's gruesome, but we can't look away from it. There's something mesmerizing about it.
I chose a painting by Marlowe Moss from 1949. It spoke to me instantly. I've always been a fan of abstract art. I love that the subject of the piece isn't a figure. It's not a human figure or someone with an identity, but it's colors and geometry. And I feel like as a queer person, as a non-binary person, sometimes that's more accessible because I find geometry and color more reliable categories than like a man or a woman. So in some ways I can see myself more in a square of yellow than I can in a drawing of a woman or a man.
This is typically the kind of painting that you often hear people say, oh, I could have done that.
It's like, yeah, of course, anyone can draw that. It's about an idea and a sense of like color and proportion, and I feel like that takes out some of the gatekeeping qualities of the art world. In addition to just the look, the fabulous look, the graphic style of the piece of art, I was really fascinated by Munroe Moss as an artist. First of all, their appearance grabbed me. Clearly a queer person, a woman with slicked hair, full three-piece suit, in the style of many kind of drag kings and male impersonators of the vaudeville era.
Although we talk about form not having any gender, even something as fundamental and basic as form has been gendered. Like straight lines being masculine and curves being feminine. That's not necessarily a thing. But even here, there's maybe the suggestion that Munroe decided to wear the very straight edge clothes because she was taking that hard edge line that she didn't necessarily identify as the gender that she had been born with, but she didn't have the language or the ability to express that.
Her gender and her queerness was erased from history, and almost like all of the innovations and creativity that she brought to the art form were basically written into other people's biographies.
That's really interesting.
Which is so the case with a lot of queer people.
Exactly. In many ways, the world of art history that we are inheriting was written by often like a very cis-patriarchal system of art that rejected otherness. It's important for all kinds of reclamations to happen today because it was edited out of the history books.